This video serves as a historical documentary designed for educational use. All scenes presented are artistic reenactments based on verified events. No actual violence is depicted or endorsed. The year is 71 BC on a desolate battlefield in southern Italy. A man who was once a gladiator stands before the legions of Rome one final time. He has defeated their armies, outsmarted their generals, and sparked a slave rebellion that threatens the very foundation of the Republic. But now, he is cornered and outnumbered. With resolve, he raises his sword for a last desperate charge. This is the tale of the brutal demise of Spartacus and the valiant stand that would resonate through history. To grasp how it all reached this point to the blood-soaked earth near the Salaris River, we must journey back to the oppressive brutality of the world that shaped him and the singular spark of defiance that ignited all of Italy. The Roman Republic in the 1st century BC was a superpower built upon the backs of slaves. Millions of conquered peoples were funneled into Italy, their existence fueling the Roman war machine. For the strongest among these captives awaited a special fate, the arena. Spartacus was a Thracian, and stories suggest he might have even served in the Roman army before he was captured and sold into slavery. Ultimately, he found himself in a gladiator school, known as a Lutes in the city of Capua. In this harsh realm, life was cheap, and death was an entertainment spectacle. Gladiators were viewed as property investments traded in blood and sand trained to kill for the roars of the crowd. Celebrated for their combat skills, yet despised for their status as slaves, they lived as breathing weapons, all the while being utterly expendable. In 73 BC, this volatile mixture of discipline and simmering outrage finally erupted. Armed with little more than kitchen tools and improvised weapons, they fought fiercely for their freedom, overpowering local soldiers dispatched to stop them. What the Roman authorities dismissed as a minor uprising would soon evolve into the most significant slave rebellion Rome had ever encountered. The Third Servile War, it was a conflict that would bring the Republic to its knees. Taking refuge on the slopes of Mount Vesuvius, the small band of gladiators quickly attracted other runaway slaves to their cause, swelling their ranks. Underestimating the threat, Rome dispatched a militia led by Gaius Claudius Glaber. Rather than assault them head-on, Glaber opted for a siege, blocking the only known path down the volcano, intending to starve them out. This is where Spartacus revealed that he was more than just a fighter, he was a tactical genius. Utilizing vines from the mountainside, the rebels crafted makeshift ropes and rappelled down sheer cliffs, completely circumventing the Roman blockade. They then launched a surprise attack on Glaber's camp, decisively defeating the shocked soldiers. This stunning victory sent ripples across Italy. The rebels armed themselves with captured Roman gear, and as news of their success spread, their numbers surged, forming a mobile army that ancient sources said swelled to 120,000 men, women, and children. Modern historians estimate that the actual number of fighters was likely smaller, around 30,000 to 40,000, but it remained a formidable force. No longer were they a mere band of gladiators, they became a nation of the disenfranchised. For 2 years they roamed Italy virtually unchallenged, even vanquishing 2 consular armies, the highest military authority the Republic could deploy. Yet for reasons unknown, they chose to turn back. Did the thrill of victory cloud their judgment? Did they harbor ambitions of sacking Rome itself? We may never know for certain, but this fateful decision to head south again provided Rome the opportunity to start treating the rebellion not as a mere irritation, but as a dire threat to its very existence. In this state of panic, the Senate turned to a man they believed would not fail, Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus was the richest man in Rome, ambitious, ruthless, and hungry for a military victory that could rival his political rival, Pompey the Great. He volunteered for command and mustered 8 legions totaling over 40,000 soldiers. Understanding that fear could be weaponized, Crassus enforced an ancient and merciless punishment known as decimation. After a commander defied orders and was defeated, Crassus forced the surviving soldiers to draw lots, punishing 1 out of every 10 men by having them beaten to death by their comrades. The message was chillingly clear: fear Crassus more than the enemy. Under Crassus's relentless pressure, the tide began to turn. He systematically cornered Spartacus, forcing the rebel army towards the toe of Italy. There, he constructed a nearly 40-mile-long wall and ditch, ensnaring Spartacus and cutting off essential supplies. Although Spartacus had paid pirates to ferry his army to Sicily, they betrayed him, taking his money and sailing away. Trapped and faced with the chilling grip of winter, the rebels grew desperate. In a daring night assault, Spartacus's army broke through the wall but suffered heavy casualties. The rebel force weakened and began to splinter. Discipline faltered. News of Pompey's legions returning from Spain reached them, along with word of another Roman force landing in the south. Spartacus was now caught between 3 Roman armies, leaving him with no escape route. Recognizing the inevitable, Spartacus chose to confront Crassus one last time. The final battle unfolded near the Salaris River in 71 BC. As the two forces readied for combat, the atmosphere hung heavy with an ominous certainty. The historian Appian recounts that Spartacus called for his horse. Before his entire army, he drew his sword and killed it. He proclaimed that if victorious, he would have his choice of the enemy's horses, but if defeated, he wouldn't need one. The message was unmistakable: this was a fight to the death. What followed was a chaotic and brutal clash of sheer desperation against disciplined might. Spartacus and his core fighters charged, crashing into the Roman lines with a fury born of hopelessness. However, Crassus's legions were a well-organized, relentless war machine. Amidst the turmoil, Spartacus fought with determined resolve. He spotted Crassus, the Roman general, directing his troops. With a small cadre of his finest fighters, Spartacus launched a desperate charge toward the enemy commander. The historian Plutarch records that he cut through the Roman ranks, managing to slay 2 centurions in his frantic bid to reach Crassus. But the overwhelming numbers took their toll. A javelin struck his thigh, forcing him to one knee. Wounded and bleeding, he refused to yield. Surrounded, he raised his shield and continued to fight even from the ground. He fought on until he was ultimately overwhelmed and struck down beneath a flurry of Roman swords. His death rippled through the rebel ranks like wildfire, and the battle swiftly devolved into a massacre. The Roman victory was absolute, yet their vengeance knew no bounds. Crassus captured 6,000 survivors and devised a horrific scheme to utilize them as a cautionary tale, crucifying them along the Appian Way, the primary route from Capua to Rome, in a grim spectacle that stretched for over 100 miles. For weeks, anyone traversing that road walked through a corridor of death and despair. Crassus had triumphed in the war, but his rival, Pompey, intercepted and eliminated several thousand rebels attempting to flee north. He sent word to the Senate, claiming his forces had truly vanquished the rebellion. This calculated maneuver stripped much of the glory from Crassus, intensifying the rivalry between 2 of Rome's most influential figures. And what of the man who instigated it all? Amidst the carnage of that final confrontation, Spartacus's body was never discovered. He may have been so mangled in the violence or simply lost among the countless corpses, thereby vanishing from recorded history but not from legend. Was he a freedom fighter, a social revolutionary, or merely a desperate individual seeking a way home? By refusing to submit, by continuing to battle from his knees, against insurmountable odds, Spartacus forged a legacy that has survived long beyond even the Roman Empire itself, a timeless emblem.